Hey guys, Silver Contrail here. Today I want to talk about what I think may be the best gaming deal of the year. It's really cool and something that the Humble Bundle is doing, and they're very notable for having very good deals on their website. I've gotten several Humble Bundles, and they've all been just amazing to play, lots of fun. The first one I got was last summer actually, which I bought. I spent like $5 to get let's see, Amnesia, Bastion, Super Meat Boy, Limbo, and a bunch of other games for a super low price. And I spent so much time playing those games. It was a ton of fun. If you have some time to spend or some time to kill, and you want some really high quality games, this Humble Bundle is for you. This is an incredible deal that we're getting here. So I want to explain this. And if you're not familiar with a Humble Bundle, let me talk about that for a minute. Excuse me. So basically, the Humble Bundle, in this case, it's called the Humble Origin Bundle, has a set of games that you can buy for any price you want. You can pay $1 at the minimum, or any other amount. You can pay $5. You can pay $100. You can pay $1,000. Whatever it is. All of that money goes to charity. They pay the Humble group that puts it together. They get paid a small fee, obviously, to continue to host this website, so they go break even, at least, which isn't much money. And then whoever they're partnering with gets a small amount of money as well. Usually when this happens, what they do, they'll have indie bundles, so when independent studios are coming in and they're putting their games up there for a really low price, you can give so much to those independent developers, so much to charity, however much you want to do. It's all up to the buyer. So when you go in, you can pay whatever price you want for a set number of games. But if you beat the average that people are paying, you can get bonus games as well. In this case, if you pay the minimum, or basically anything under the average, you're going to get 6 games. You're going to get Dead Space, Burnout Paradise, the Ultimate Box, Crysis 2 Maximum Edition, Mirror's Edge, Dead Space 3, and Medal of Honor. If you pay more than, and right now, it's $4.77. Obviously, it will go up over time as more people pay a higher amount, or it could go down if people continue to pay under that amount, so it changes. Right now, it's $4.77, so if you pay like $5, you will get all of those games, plus you'll get Battlefield 3 and The Sims 3, plus the starter pack. This is a really good deal. It's being put on by EA to kind of promote their Origin, their game downloading platform, which is roughly EA's equivalent of Steam. So I want to point something out. When you get these games, they're all going to come with Origin keys. This means that if you download the Origin client, you can install them on Origin. If you don't like Origin, you can download them to Steam. All of them are playable on Steam except for Dead Space 3, Battlefield 3, and The Sims 3 starter pack. So if you pay the minimum, the only game you would need Origin for is Dead Space 3. Otherwise, Dead Space, Burnout Paradise, Crysis 2, Mirror's Edge, and Medal of Honor are all playable on Steam. So if you don't like Origin, which some people don't, you can definitely just download them on Steam. And then, if you really want to play Dead Space 3, then just get Origin for it. Honestly, and I know a lot of people have an aversion to Origin, it's really not that big a deal. It's just a really clean UI. It's really easy. You download it, you install, you're good to go. You don't have to touch it. It's not that big of a deal to mess with it. And yeah, it really isn't that big of a deal. Battlefield 3 is kind of wonky with how they do it, but it wouldn't matter if it was on Steam anyways. So it's kind of weird. But let's get back to this. Let's talk about these games for a minute. First of all, we've got Dead Space. We've got Dead Space actually 1 and 3. We don't have 2 in here. So if you want to play the whole series, you'll have to go out and buy 2. But otherwise, Dead Space 1 is in here. If we look that up on Metacritic, the Dead Space PC version came out in 2008. It got an 86 out of 100. It was very well received. I think GameSpot gave it a 90, and a couple of other sites gave it pretty high praise. It's a game that started a pretty nice series, and the first game in particular was really good. So a lot of people do like that. It's a first-person shooter with... It is an FPS, right? No, it's a third-person. Yeah, it's a third-person sci-fi survival horror. So there's a lot of horror elements involved in it. So you can look at this as being sort of a third-person Doom of sorts, and it's kind of like a more atmospheric tension sort of terror. It's not things jumping out at you as much, and it's really cool. Definitely something fun to play. On the flip side, Dead Space 3 got a 78 out of 100, which is pretty solid, but it's not exactly the best. It got some pretty mixed reviews. A lot of people didn't like Dead Space 3 and how it didn't really live up to the expectations of the rest of the series. So a lot of people didn't really like it as much, but it continues it. It's still a solid game to play. Obviously, though, if you're going to want to go from 1 to 3, you're probably going to want to play 2. So you might look to see how much 2 costs before you get really invested in it. Anyways, let's jump back. The next one we have up here is Crysis 2. So kind of missing Crysis 1, but we got Crysis 2 in here. Crysis 1 came out in 2007, I believe. Don't quote me on that. When it was released, Crysis was referred to as having the best technical graphics of the generation. It was so good to look at. Crysis is very well known as a series that really pushes the graphical engines of video games to their limit and makes these really amazing looking environments that don't completely blow up your system. Although Crysis 1 was very difficult to run. In fact, this game is also very difficult to run. It's taxing my new build pretty heavily if I put it on Ultra. But it works well on Extreme. So that's fine for me. Crysis, this is the only game that I've managed to sit down and play. I downloaded this again last night, and I downloaded Crysis. So I played this for about an hour. It was a lot of fun. If you have a computer that can run this, and I would say with most of these games, you're going to be looking at least a quad core to play these. Maybe a really strong dual core. But probably look at something like in the i5 range. I don't really know what the AMD equivalent is, but you're going to be looking at definitely at a quad core, I think, and then a dedicated video card, especially if you're not using a quad core. You want a pretty beefy video card, but you can definitely play these games on their lower settings. Crysis 2 is pretty fun. It's a first-person shooter set in this. I guess it's semi-open world. New York after an apocalyptic event has occurred, and you've got a kind of it's kind of like a stealth slash action. You can kind of play it either way, and it's pretty neat. You have this nanosuit that can change between different modes and do a lot of stuff. Very good, 86 out of 100 on Metacritic. Very, very good reviews all around. Very good. Definitely agree with that. 8.5 on GameStop, and that's all I see on there. Yeah, definitely something worth playing. Mirror's Edge, and this is a fan favorite. You see a lot of people at conventions cosplaying the main character from this game. I've only played the demo of this, but now that I have it, I can finally sit down to play it. This game came out in 2008, so it's 5 years old now. Yeah, it's actually over 5 years old, right? Oh wait, no, the PC version came out in 2009. Anyways, I think it was 360 exclusive for a while. So Mirror's Edge, really fun game. It's a first person. What do you call this game? It's action adventure. It's sort of like parkour. Basically, you kind of parkour up through buildings, atop rooftops, and the combat in the game is mostly based on disarming your opponents, and then trying to get past them with speed. And yeah, you play as a character called Faith. And it was a big hit when it came out. 8.1 out of 100. Fairly solid reviews. 8.5 on IGN, which is pretty good. So definitely something fun to play. Probably one of the lower requirement games on this list, just because it's a little bit older. And then we've got Medal of Honor. Medal of Honor, I played the demo of when it came out for PC, or it was a multiplayer beta, I think. I did not like it. I pretty much just said, this is disgusting and horrible and I hate it. 72 out of 100, not really that great. The multiplayer was done by DICE, and they kind of seemed like they didn't really want to spend a whole lot of time with it. and this was about a year before Battlefield 3 came out. Honestly, if you do pay over the average, I would not touch Medal of Honor. I would just go straight to Battlefield 3. But that's just me. Again, it's a first-person shooter, military, set in Afghanistan. It's not, it doesn't do a whole lot to differentiate itself from the bunch, and it's not terribly fun. If, like I said, if you have Battlefield 3, play that instead. It's a more fun game. Burnout Paradise. Burnout series is all about crashing, going fast, running into things. It's a ton of fun. Very exciting. And Burnout Paradise, the Ultimate Box, has, I believe, like all the DLC in it. And yeah, so there's a lot in here. The award-winning includes the award-winning Paradise game and the previously released content packs. Plus, yeah, it has like the DLC in it, so that's a lot of fun. So you get there's motorcycles in it and a lot of cool stuff to do. I believe Paradise is more open world. Yeah, it is. Paradise is open world, so there's a lot of cool stuff you can do there. 87 out of 100. If you're a fan of racing games, if you've got a gamepad especially, I would suggest playing this. It would be a lot of fun. Now, if you do pay over the average, of course, you get 2 more games, which are Battlefield 3 and The Sims 3. Battlefield 3 has an 89 of 100. We've all heard about it, at least at some point. It's a military FPS set in the near future. It's all about big maps, big battles, lots of explosions, lots of flashiness. It is fun. It's a bit hard to get into now, even though I know a lot of people are going to be. It was available for $5 earlier this year. I picked it up, I think, a couple of months ago, so I didn't pay over the average for this one, for this pack, simply because I already had Battlefield 3 and I didn't want to play The Sims. So with Battlefield 3, of course, if you do pick it up, it can be fun, it can be not. Going into it after being a Call of Duty player for a long time was a bit of a struggle for me. It depends. If you can get some friends to play with you, I think it'd be a lot of fun. If you can't, you might struggle. So for me, this would be the reason to buy to go over the average. But if you don't want to do that, you can, you also look at The Sims 3, which came out in 2009. It's a bit older. Obviously, we have the new Sims that's out, but 86 out of 100 on Metacritic. Pretty solid game overall. It's out for like every console, but it's a lot of fun. There's a lot in there, a lot you can do with that. So definitely just look at those 2 games, look them online. If you've wanted those games for a while, now's the time to pick them up. So I would suggest going for it if you want them. Just pay $5. You get those games, and then you get all the other games. You get a lot. So I just wanted to go through this pack and talk about what's in this Humble Bundle, because it's really, really good. And additionally, all of their proceeds are going to charity. So everything that Origin and EA are getting, well, EA owns Origin, is going straight to the Human Rights Campaign, the American Red Cross, or WOTC, I have no idea what that is actually, the San Francisco AIDS Foundation, and the American Cancer Society. Oh, so you're supporting a good cause, you're getting some really great games, and this is how you get people to donate to charity, in my opinion. It's a really great setup. Some of these games are a little bit more intensive for your system, so do check with the system requirements, depending on what you want. And of course, like I said, there are Steam keys here, so you get Steam keys and Origin keys, plus you get the soundtracks for the game. And yeah, I mean, there's so much here. There's so much you get. If you buy something on Origin, it's saved to your account, or buy something on Humble Bundle, it's saved to your Humble Bundle account forever. You always have it. And then all of your other games, all of your other bundles that you buy get saved to that same account. And it's really nice. Obviously, these are DRM games. I mean, they do have DRM because you've got to go through Steam and through Origin. But most of the bundle stuff, especially the indie stuff, you'll find is actually DRM free, which is really cool. So I was just getting this. Keep an eye on Humble Bundles in the future, because they have really good deals. And man, this deal is great. Right now, over 900,000 bundles have been sold. That is crazy. And of course, the most important thing to remember, there are 12 days remaining. This pack will be gone in 12 days, so make sure you pick it up if you want it, which I think a lot of people should, and I think a lot of people will want it. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys have fun playing games if you do choose to pick them up, and I will see you online. Until next time, then.